From the local station, News 4 Jax starts now.
Election Day 2014 now begins its final hour. The campaigning continues 1 hour before precincts close their doors. Voters deciding the future of medical marijuana here in Florida. Governor Scott making one last stop here in Jacksonville as he seeks re-election.
There's people from all over the country that have come in to try to make sure we win, because they know how important this race is.
And a final message from the man looking to take back his old job, former Governor Charlie Crist.
But money can't buy the election. And I think that what people want to do is get out and vote.
By one estimate, Rick Scott and Charlie Crist have spent a staggering $200 million to get your vote.
Right now, the last-minute crowd is taking their turn at the polling places all over Florida and Georgia. The turnout so far here in Duval County, 44%. We expect to have the first returns for you right after 7 o'clock. News 4 Jax has reporters all across the state covering the big races and the polling places county by county. We begin with Channel 4's Kent Justice, who's joining us live from Bonita Springs, where Governor Scott will end his campaign tonight and watch the results. Kent?
And Tom, Election Day is a pretty patriotic thing, so we've got a red, white, and balloon party going on here, and it's because Rick Scott, for governor, hopes that he's going to be partying tonight when all those ballots are counted. Now, last-minute campaigning gave way to final thoughts for some dedicated volunteers today. Governor Scott joined by high-profile surrogates and by some young campaign workers at his office in Fort Myers.
Because of your efforts, and there's people like you all across the state, we have over 11,000 volunteers around the state.
Yeah.
Because of all your efforts, we're going to win.
Yeah.
Florida Governor Rick Scott on the day he tries to defend his job against former Governor Charlie Crist, sharing his appreciation with young volunteers working the phone for the campaign field office. He also shared a very relaxed moment of laughter and affection with First Lady Ann Scott.
We got into this race, Ann said, "That's great. I'm glad you wanted to do this. I'm not interested in really giving a lot of talks." So that lasted about 3 weeks 4 years ago.
He left out I was terrified of public speaking. But I just want to thank all of you for your support that you've given us over the last 4 years.
You seem pretty energized by all the volunteers.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, we went to Miami this morning and had so many volunteers.
The governor has been so appreciative, as we all have, of the men and women and young adults who've come out to make phone calls for him, who've walked door to door, and who are sharing the very positive message of his record of accomplishment as our governor.
Here's what I think. The people of Florida have the opportunity to continue on a path where more Floridians have jobs, where the unemployment rate continues down, where the state again becomes economically very influential nationally.
So thanks for what you're doing. You're going to win the race today. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. God bless you.
So lots of cheering at a campaign field office. Will there be celebrating tonight when the election is over? That's the question for Rick Scott. He and his family are here in Bonita Springs, and we'll be waiting to answer that question for all of us a little later tonight. Live in Southwest Florida, Kent Justice, Channel 4, the local station.
From Bonita Springs, we move north to St. Petersburg, where Scott's opponent, Charlie Crist, has been making his final pitch to voters.
And Channel 4's Tarek Miner has been covering the former governor on the campaign trail. Tarek.
Yeah, and you know, voter turnout here in St. Petersburg was pretty steady from start to finish. As we understand it, Charlie Crist is very excited about the turnout, and Senator Bill Nelson telling me earlier that he thinks that the turnout is going to benefit Crist. I want to show you some video earlier today that we shot at a community center where there were actually volunteers waiting outside trying to sway opinion at the community center that we visited. Voters were actually having discussions about issues dear to their hearts like Amendment 2, renewable energy, education, and jobs. Voters here in St. Pete seem really upbeat. They're enthusiastic about casting their ballots, and some political strategists are predicting a higher than normal voter turnout. The volunteers are working right up until 7 o'clock, hoping to talk to Floridians who are still undecided at this hour.
I believe that probably 80% of the people are decided on who they're going to vote for, specifically the partisans. But I think a lot of people, when they're getting to the poll, they're having a change of heart, or they're having making a real decision on what it is, and they're looking at the future because there are other amendments involved, and I think that's affecting our governor's race.
And coming up at 7 o'clock, you're going to hear from Senator Bill Nelson, who says that all these high-dollar ads we've been watching on television, he predicts that they are going to backfire on Rick Scott in this election. We'll have his interview at 7. We're live here in St. Petersburg. I'm Tarek Miner, Channel 4, the local station.
Thank you, Tarek. Now, more Florida voters have taken advantage of early and absentee voting this year. According to Secretary of State Ken Dentzner, 1.7 million Floridians have voted absentee. Another 1.3 million voted early. And because of that, Dentzner is predicting an early election night, saying we should know results fairly quickly, thanks to early and absentee voters.
Covering voting county by county, we have reporters all over our area checking on the last-minute turnout in this final hour before the polls close. They're covering Duval, Clay, and St. Johns counties. We begin with Channel 4's Jim Piggott, who's joining us from outside the Supervisor of Elections satellite office on the north side. Jim?
You know, Tom, actually, we're inside. This is where the canvassing board's meeting. They're taking a break right now going through those absentee votes. But I want to show you a live picture of voting taking place now in the Fort Caroline area, and you can see how the crowds have been throughout the day. There have been some lines today, not big lines, and finding out, you know, they were anticipating maybe over 50% turnout, but now we understand, at least at this point, it's about 45% turnout. No major problems. In fact, joining me live now is Supervisor of Elections, Jerry Holland. Jerry, how's the day been?
Well, it's been steady. We've been averaging about 10,000 voters an hour. We've already had close to 250,000 voters vote in Duval County. We're about 46,000 voters away from hitting that 50% mark, and hopefully this last hour will bring that.
We're hoping to see that, but if somebody is going to the polls right now, you get in line at 7 o'clock, are they going to turn you away? What's going to happen?
No, the key is if you're there by 7 o'clock, and no matter how long it takes the line to vote, you can vote. But if you get there at 7:01, no matter if there's a line, you cannot vote if you get there after 7 o'clock.
I know a lot of people usually head downtown if they can't make it to their precinct. There's an issue, I'm told, that's going on downtown with people being kind of turned away. What do you want to tell people?
Well, what we absolutely are telling them is, you know, you can go to your precinct if you get in line in time. The only difference downtown, that's absentee voting, which means at 7 o'clock we must have received your ballot. So if you're in line downtown to vote absentee, at 7 o'clock, that's when it ends. Whether you're in line, whether you're filling out the ballot, we have to have it from you at 7. So we really encourage the voters, go to your precinct. That's the best way to do it.
And even though they need an emergency to vote absentee downtown too?
Oddly enough, the state changed the statute. It said in order to vote absentee on election day, it must declare an emergency. We're not turning down any reason, but again, that is part of the process.
All right, so that's the situation here. About 45% turnout. We should be getting some results around 7:15. We're live on the north side. Jim Piggott, Channel 4, the local station.
And I am Scott Johnson here in Clay County, Fleming Island Plantation specifically, one of the busiest polling precincts in the entire county, where they have been busy throughout the afternoon and evening. We got some video for you. There was a line here about an hour ago stretching considerably outside the front door of people going in to vote. You know, Amendment 2, the governor's race has been big in Clay County. They have a unique race here with their school board issue and a referendum on the superintendent. There's been a lot of infighting on the school board over the superintendent issue, whether it should be elected or an appointed position. I've covered it a lot for you. And in talking to voters out here, they've been somewhat unhappy with it. We'll see how that translates at the polls when they close.
I think it's a shame.
What do you mean?
I think all of the drama that's around some of the seats is a black eye for Clay County.
And as far as voting, good amount. They're expecting 55% in the end. 45% have voted so far. Now, an interesting number that the Supervisor of Elections gave me down here is Clay County has registered 54% Republican. But so far, around 65% of the voters have been registered Republicans showing up. So it looks like Republicans are coming out in higher numbers than they are represented in the county, if that will mean anything in the races tonight. We're live in Clay County. Scott Johnson, Channel 4, the local station.
And I'm Channel 4's Haley Winslow, live in St. Johns County at the Creekside Christian Church, Precinct 202, where things have been running very smoothly according to the volunteers inside, but there is a little bit of a line now as people stop in on their way home from work. If you're voting locally, there are a lot of things that you can vote for. Anesthesia, mosquito control, there's the airport authority, and several open commission seats. Now, the exciting race, if you're a resident of St. Augustine, is the mayoral race between incumbent Joe Bowles and challenger Nancy Christy Shaver. Again, the polls close at 7 o'clock, so come on out here and cast your vote. Reporting live in St. Johns County, Haley Winslow, Channel 4, the local station.
Thank you, Haley. Now, Amendment 2, or medical marijuana, is one of the key issues on the ballot that most everyone tuned in to see if it's approved. Channel 4's Vic Michelucci has been speaking with both supporters and opponents of the amendment, and he's joining us live now from St. Petersburg. Vic.
And Mary, it is definitely a hot topic. Supporters and opponents speaking out today here in St. Petersburg, all across this city. Everywhere we go, people are talking about it. So right now I'm in front of Fresco's Waterfront Bistro on the Bayfront here in St. Petersburg. I want to show you it. It is right behind me. And this is the headquarters for the Yes on 2 campaign, headed by United for Care, of course, which is run by high-profile and powerful Orlando area attorney John Morgan. He is not here. I'm told by his campaign staff that he will not be here tonight. He plans on actually watching it from his home. But there are still a lot of supporters filing in. Now, keep in mind, this watch party doesn't start until 7, but we've already seen dozens of people come here to this restaurant to show their support. Some of them say that they are patients that take medical marijuana. Some say that they are patients that would need to take medical marijuana. And I also spoke with the communications director for the campaign, who says he's still optimistic that this will pass. So really, in the final hours, polls close at 7 o'clock. What are your thoughts as we get to the end?
Our thoughts are optimism. We feel that people out there understand what this campaign is really all about. It's about the patients, it's about the families of patients, it's about alleviating suffering. And there's still a little bit of time left to vote. If there's anybody out there who still hasn't done so, go out there and vote yes on 2. Do it for the patients.
Now, there are also a number of people against Amendment 2, hoping that it does not get the 60% of the vote to pass. We also went to their office at Drug Free America and spoke with their executive director.
Well, obviously, we don't believe it'll pass. We believe that the polling is showing that it won't, but if it does, we'll be very concerned. We obviously would insist that everything that could possibly be done, and we might even look at legal action. I mean, we have to look at that when the time comes. Right now, we're hoping that those remaining people that haven't voted yet really look at the amendment, look at the language, make sure they're educated and vote based on, what they learn about the loopholes in the amendment.
So as of now, only time will tell, but there's a lot of optimism and confidence on both sides of the debate. Of course, I'll keep you posted on any new developments. But for now, I'm live in St. Petersburg. Vic Michelucci, Channel 4, the local station.
Thank you, Vic. Our special election coverage begins at 7 as soon as the polls close. Find out who won the races and hear the amendment results. We'll bring you the first results live as they come in, and we'll bring you live reports from around the state throughout the night.
We'll be right back.